Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's actually been a long time since I've last recorded a video, and I'm not gonna lie, I am a little rusty. The last time you saw me, I believe, was either for my March or maybe even my it was maybe my March cash envelope stuffing. A lot has changed since I last filmed, Obviously, COVID hit the world really hard, like a train that nobody saw coming. I was actually furloughed for 2 weeks, so I lost some money, and there have been layoffs at my company. And unfortunately, the industry that I work in has been and continues to be severely impacted by the economic downturn. And so I've kind of felt uncomfortable talking about cash envelope stuffing and budgeting, especially earlier, several months ago when things were really bad and businesses were shut down, because I just didn't feel like I was in any sort of a place to be giving out advice or, um, I guess, a lot of encouragement when I myself felt pretty vulnerable and in an unstable position. So while I've been gone, I've been spending a lot of time at my parents' house and enjoying time with family and frankly just penny pinching. My dad actually asked me today, he's like, "Are you still paying in all cash? Are you still, doing all that?" And because I've been at home, I haven't been paying with cash per se when I go out, which isn't that often. I've just been using my debit card. So my budget has been impacted both by furloughs and me just not really living my normal life like I used to. Um, However, I did just want to hop on here really quick and talk to you guys about four different kind of blessings I've experienced since the world kind of flipped upside down on us. So, without further ado, let me just kind of talk about some of the positive things that have been going on, at least in my life, over the last several months. So, the first and most exciting life update that has happened in my life since the start of everything is that I paid off my car. Whoop whoop. That's right, I paid off my car after 3 years. I bought it used after I had graduated college. I sent off my last payment in the month of, I think it was April, and I'm free. So I can't emphasize enough how amazing it feels not to have a car payment, and it's even more timely that I can now use that extra cash to go into my savings over, I guess until further notice. Yeah, it just feels awesome. Like I don't have any debt anymore to my car. Like I own a car for the first time in my life. It's pretty crazy. A lot of people don't feel like that's a big deal, but like it's a huge deal for me. Also, I have some really funny footage of me checking off my last little box saying that I paid it off. So, roll that film. The second thing I feel like I've learned through the economic downturn that's been going on is how to distinguish between necessary costs and wasteful costs. I know Dave Ramsey says that there are four essentials, especially when you're learning how to kind of survive on a budget, and that's food, shelter, clothes, and utilities, like obviously gas, water, things like that that you need to run in your home. And for me, I don't need clothes, so strike that off the list. But I guess from having my paycheck cut like 25% for a couple months, I really didn't have a lot of extra money to be spending on things. And when you don't have that extra money, it really makes you start thinking about what is really important in life. And of course, that's food, shelter, making sure you pay your rent, making sure that you're buying food that's going to fill you up and not just like empty calories that leave you wanting more. So I've really been able to kind of pay really close attention to my health and just think about what's important. And I think a lot of people have realized that over the last few weeks, just understanding what's valuable in life. And I know I've seen a lot of articles and people talking about how credit card companies are slashing credit limits because people aren't spending as much and they're losing more money because people aren't paying interest on their credit cards. And I think that's actually such an amazing thing that that in a very unpredicted way, people are kind of taking down their debt limits because they just realize now that, hey, I gotta hold tightly to my money. This is really important right now, and I don't have anything to waste. The third, I guess, positive lesson that I've kind of been learning throughout this whole experience is how to exercise patience and self-control. So, as I'm sure a lot of you know, the stock market pretty much crashed towards the end of March. It dropped like near 10,000 points, which was pretty unprecedented, especially in our generation and like our parents' generation. We have almost never seen anything quite as dramatic as that. And I know a lot of us have 401ks or even like side investments. Maybe you have your own kind of brokerage account. I know I do. And there was a huge temptation at many points to maybe scale back what I was putting into my 401k, or, taking out money out of my investments so that I didn't lose more. And I guess I've always, and it's just because of the way I was raised, I don't really have another excuse or reason, but I've always just heard, the mantra to hold, 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 because things will always come back up. And I was watching a few videos of different financial advisors talking about how, you can never time the market correctly. You have to time it twice. You have to time it right twice. You have to time when to sell it and when to buy it at just the right amounts. You always want to obviously sell high and buy low, and it's nearly impossible to get those two predictions correctly so that you make your max profit. So, we're almost to the end of June, and I I have seen my stocks bounce back, and my 401k went from at its worst negative 20.2% for the year to now I believe it's at negative 5, which is still not good, but it sure isn't negative 20, right? So I guess I've just learned to kind of ride the wave, if that makes sense. And I'm really glad and fortunate and privileged that I get to experience this while it doesn't really impact anybody but myself. Like, I don't have a family to take care of or anything like that. Again, that's a huge privilege and blessing, but it is something that I'm really thankful to have experienced while the impact on my life is pretty minimal, relatively speaking. The fourth and final positive realization I've had during this whole quarantine is how thankful I am to have an emergency fund and how valuable it is and how everybody should have one. A lot of people I know live paycheck to paycheck, but I cannot emphasize enough how much more safe I felt when, after I received the call letting me know, like, hey, you are going to be furloughed, everybody in the company is going to be furloughed for these 2 weeks. Just how much of like a barrier I felt from total despair and like discouragement and sadness and fear, because I knew that realistically I could bail myself out of this terrible situation that I was about to encounter, without really any harm done to myself. Of course I would lose savings, but at the end of the day, if I end up losing my job, I have a safety net. And that is just like, you just can't match the feeling of knowing that like you've prepared for the worst, and the worst might come, but it's not the end of the world. So yeah, I would encourage any of you guys that do not start tomorrow, start today, start planning your future. Think about how much money you require each month to get you or your family through each week, and just be prepared. You don't want to find yourself in a situation that you can't get yourself out of. It's not a good feeling to be unprepared, and it's a really good feeling to be prepared. Aside from these kind of 4 realizations, or I guess lessons I've taken away, I'm really just grateful to have been able to experience such quality time with family, and time to relax and reflect on, I guess, what God is doing in my life, and perhaps ways that He's taking me to wherever He wants me to be next, whether that's just in my relationship with Him, or with friendships, relationships, my career. I don't know what the future holds for me, and frankly, I'm kind of living day to day, but I have a lot of hope in Him, knowing that He's got full control and He knows exactly what He's doing. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that I'm thankful that God is in control, and that my hope is in Him and not this world, because there is a lot of terrible things happening right now. But I hope to be back making more regular content soon. Hopefully I will get back to my normal budgeting videos, but until then, I love all the comments that you guys leave on my videos. I hit 500 subscribers. It's amazing. So yeah, thank you so much for clicking on this video. I hope that you and your families are doing well, and that you find encouragement in knowing that God is in full control. Talk to you guys later. Bye.